Here's what Paul says. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not embitter your children, or they'll become discouraged. Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is on you to curry their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Notice that new motivation. Children, you do it because it pleases God. Slaves, you do it as unto the Lord. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as if you're working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. Whatever your earthly master does, you know you get a reward in heaven for doing this with a kingdom motivation, as unto the Lord. It is the Lord Christ you are serving, and anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongs. Leave all vengeance to God, and there is no favoritism. Masters, you provide your slaves with what is right and fair, because you know that you also have a master in heaven. What do you think? This raises some of the same questions that we dealt with last week. Is the Bible here condoning slavery? Is it condoning there being masters who have slaves, and the slaves obey them in everything as unto the Lord? Now, up until 150 years ago, there's many folks, half the population of America, said yes. And we had in the whole Christian South the institution of slavery. In fact, slave owners would use these passages like this to argue for the right for masters to own slaves. How can you be against it? It's right there in the Bible. God said it. I believe it. That settles it for me. In fact, one of the reasons they had, not always, some were very, very sincere, but one of the reasons why they wanted to convert the slaves to Christianity and teach them the Bible is because it was their billy club to keep them in submission. You get them to believe that this is the Word of God, and here it says, you obey your masters. I'm your master, so you serve me the way you would serve the Lord. And everything. In fact, what's interesting is that the same arguments that were used to defend slavery 150 years ago are the ones that are used now to continue to argue that the wife alone is supposed to submit to the husband. The husband is supposed to be the master of the household. Same arguments. And that's not surprising, because in the Bible, and in first century culture in general, in fact, in most cultures, the wife was in basically the same category as the slave. Wives had no rights. Wives were bought and sold. They're in the same kind of category. The only ones who had any rights were the men, and the men who were the citizens of a particular country. And so what's interesting is that in most recognized, in fact, everyone recognizes that the slavery is no longer, that was a cultural adaptation, but a lot of folks haven't got around to applying that to the wife yet. Hopefully that'll be coming in the century ahead of us. It's still in process. But here's the thing. Whether you agree or not with the idea that this is all part of cultural adaptation, the slavery is part of cultural adaptation, and or the wife is submission is part of the cultural adaptation, the question is, why is this in the Word of God? You believe the Bible is God-inspired, and yet it certainly appears on the surface to condone slavery.